The third objection to the rapture view is this idea that the early church fathers did not understand or teach the rapture view, and therefore it has never been part of Orthodox Christianity. I don't really consider this a valid argument against the rapture view, because you wouldn't expect the early church fathers to fully understand the prophecies concerning the second coming in their day. After all, the nation of Israel had ceased to exist. The tribulations and sufferings that they were living under in the Roman Empire seemed to mimic that of things talking about in the tribulation a little bit. And so they were probably confused and thinking that the second coming, they couldn't have possibly understood that it was thousands of years in the future from their perspective. So, and we do see that there's this progressive nature to prophecy. After all, nobody understood that the Messiah would come as the suffering servant thousands of years before he came, and nobody ever fully understood that until Jesus actually came. So there's this progressive nature to prophecy. And in Daniel chapter 12, I believe it's verse 8, and it says, "And I heard, but I did not understand. Then I said, oh my Lord, what shall be the end of these things?" So Daniel isn't fully understanding what's being told to him as the tribulation period and the time of Jacob's trouble and his 70 weeks prophecy is being told to him. He's not fully understanding. And the angel replies to him and he said, "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up." These words are shut up for you until the time of the end. And so, obviously, things have begun to open up, especially since 1948, and we see that, Revelation's starting to make more sense again. And so there is this progressive, and so I don't think it's a valid argument to just say, well, the early church fathers didn't teach this, and so it's not valid. But they did teach early on, up until the time of Augustine, they did teach a form of premillennialism and imminency that didn't exist once Augustine in the 4th century started teaching about the allegorical reading of the Bible, and a lot of that view of revelation and prophecy is still around today. And when you throw out the allegorical approach to the Bible, it changes a lot of the way you look at it, and prophecy and the rapture view of the second coming are one of those things that begin to make a lot more sense, and you can see more clearly. But also this idea that it was, Darby and Schofield beginning in 1830, and nothing about, a rapture prior to the second coming existed prior to that. Let me just name a few people prior to that were talking in these terms and at least heading in that direction prior to the early 20th century and late 19th century. And that would be Joseph Meade, Increase Mather, Peter Giroux, John Gill, Philip Doddridge, Thomas Scott, Morgan Edwards, and then of course we have Darby and Schofield. And it's said that the notes of the Schofield Bible are really what launched the idea of this rapture view. I kind of feel like that yes, that's a little ridiculous. The Schofield Bible was under a lot of criticism in the early days for the idea of adding to the scriptures type thing. And so anyway, I've had some other videos where I talked a little bit more at length on this topic, but this is one of the objections when they're giving their list of objections to the rapture view. This always comes up, and even if it were true, it's not a valid objection. Just because the early church fathers didn't teach the rapture doesn't mean that it's biblical, and doesn't mean that our understanding of prophecy has opened up to this point today.
There will